side of Gambit. They may be world #1s, but the Danish heroes have already stolen a crown from their head. They'll be looking for revenge, and it's coming up on Inferno after the break.
What do you think is the most difficult thing about going up against Gambit?
Most difficult thing, I guess, is because, yeah, they always get some ridiculous kills when they're CT and holding down that bomb site. Hobbit is always getting 2 kills when he shouldn't, or X-Side getting 3 when he should only get 1. Stuff like that is really annoying.
Nothing quite like this. A little bit of grudge to finish things off at the Showdown. We've got Gambit and we've got Heroic, and we've got quite a bit on the line because only one of these teams can go on to the spring finals, and yet I would argue that both of these teams could be considered favorites for that event if there were 2 spots left, but there's not, Launders.
Yeah.
Only one can make it.
Oof, tough reality.
You heard from Refresh. Gambit always getting away with kills that you may think they shouldn't.
This is Gambit. That is exactly... But the funny part is that if you ask another team to talk about Heroic, they would say the same thing.
Sure.
The problem is when we try to analyze these teams and some of these other teams, like, there are worse teams with better ideas, but these are the 2 teams who have the most talent peaking at once. So sometimes a lot of these games come down to incredible abilities to punish in situations where you should only get 1 kill, you get 2 kills. You got a star player. Wow, Hobbit. Wow, Shiro. Wow, Axile. When we say wow, it's because they got a kill they probably weren't expected to get, shouldn't have got. A regular guy would have missed. No one would have batted an eyelash. That is the magic of Gambit, and that is the magic of Heroic as well. The magic of Cadian, for example. Shot. Wow. Shot down mid and puts Shush to sleep.
Oh, that's how it's going to start?
Yeah.
We saw just yesterday Gambit slice through some of the angles being held by Furia, popping oppers like it was nobody's business. First bullet accuracy out of some of their AK-47s. It felt unnatural, almost. I'm very curious to see if they can keep that going. Individual form on the trio of fraggers of Gambit. They may have their hands full. We'll see. It's a nice slow start to this one on Inferno. Banana control offered over. Hobbit on top of oranges. Get some grenades to elicit the rotate. And here comes the entry. Tesses is that front runner. Hobbit locked in, still Shiro. He's going to be sneaky. Comes out from the smoke and takes one with him. Tessis with the 2 kills. Back to the 3v3. Ooh, damage through the smoke. And he didn't see him on the coffins. Wow. Didn't expect that one. We've got Heroic fighting their way into the B site for their first bomb plant. And a strong chance they close this. AI puts it at 78. Enters an Exile. Shoulder to shoulder coming in, looking to peek off the same angle. Bit of damage, Vcadian. Down, still standing where he was. And he too gets killed. So the reloads are fresh. 2 kills to take. They've got yet another.
They could get on the
time. Times the big one. And Cadian, as he does, stays alive to clutch. And Heroic. That's the start you want to see.
Oh, man. Can we turn the volume up for this on the cams? Let's go. That was, yeah. My video today is called Mr. Fourth Quarter, going over the Pro League Finals. Hallmark game for Counter-Strike in the online era puts a cap on it. You put it best. I think if there was one match we could keep with us, it'd probably be that match, Game 5 Mirage versus Gambit, where, Cadian had to have an extraordinary game and finish it like in the fashion that he did. A match that was probably only possible online because of how a crowd might have, spoiled that knife, for example. Yep. So, almost more special in that way, Did it really bring out the purity of Counter-Strike in some regard. And now we revisit that series in a best of 3. And if that best of 5 ended on the third map, it would have been Train. There's definitely some bad blood there. 28-26 was the scoreline at the time. That's probably the map, I think when we were talking to Nafany, that tilted him the most in that series.
Yeah.
Where, of course, you both think you're going to win multiple times during the OTs.
Yeah, 2 games in 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered. Hopefully you get all 3 maps today. But, Cadian's energy speaks to how important every single little bit is going to be versus Gambit, and also how close Inferno was last time as well. I think 19-17.
Leave it to Cadian as well to kind of keep that LAN energy alive online. We saw this team in their boot camp environment with their staff behind them when it came to that BO5. Here in the BO3, they're back in their homes. But I'm sure the win will mean as much just to really cement it. There's a lot of talk around Gambit. They are ranked number 1. And if Heroic get another victory over them, well, that's icing on their cake. Nafany from Graveyard.
They can't stop Nafany. He's stuck Graveyard. They have a play in Pit. It's 3v3. They don't actually have to rush the retake. Library is here shooting, but Axel's wise to this. He doesn't actually move out. Nafany stays alive, pops up.
Cadian back with the trades. They've got it all on Inters. 5 seconds to spare. He throws his flash over, takes down. 1 point of health. And 100 here for Cadian. Such a lopsided situation that Inters has to work with, and Cadian's going to end him. That is back-to-back clutches, albeit easier this time. Still, they had them pinched. They had them held down for that moment. Poor Cadian stuck in that moto spot with Bomb, but they get out of it. They survive, and Heroic take their second round win early.
It actually makes it worthwhile to have bought there, even for the loss. The 4 kills is huge, so Cadian's clutches keep the rounds on the board. Economy gets rattled a bit in the second round. No rebuy will come up for Gambit, so they're going to look for kills, but there's so much more pressure on Heroic to stay alive in this round now. And of course, Inferno is the map of gamble stacks. Basically impossible to get info without sacrificing a whole player. So it's actually a very nice strat to send in a MAC-10 on either side of the map. But whoa. We're laughing, but this is serious.
Absolutely.
That's 2 kills right now.
Mac 10 up close. He's going to try it again. It works. Shiro from the Zeus to the SMG. Shush on the angle. Going to try to keep that pistol locked and loaded. They had 4 guys inside of the B pit sitting on barbecue. And that first one felt lighthearted. The Zeus, comical in nature. But the situation that we're left in, no laughing matter. AK's up, gets Hobbit down. Stound. Gonna find his kill back towards middle, and Heroic stabilized yet again. But all I'm seeing are back-to-back close moments for Gambit, despite losing first pistol.
Yeah, and it's majority deaths, so they are keeping Heroic's economy low, which is making this game even more interesting, of course. Looking for another kill. Probably gonna be the last of it. So tense at every moment here.
Shiro using some nice close quarters angles, the Zeus, and then just falling back 1 step into the Mac 10.
A big part of winning duels these days is about finding that timing. When you know someone's going to turn a corner, jiggle baiting, making it sound like you're closer than you are, timing those peaks, not letting them fully swing out, always getting them right before they want to, where their crosshair is pre-aimed in the wall. On that Zeus, there's basically no other guns except for really expensive ones that can do what that Zeus just did. So, you know, scary play to go up against, especially when Shiro gets 2 out of it. Heroic, you're looking to camp out all Hall's control. In the meantime, they've kind of got like the G2 mid stack with 1 alone on B. You know, this is an interesting move because it's an establishing round. So there's not much data here from the live match, but there's history between the 2 teams. So it's either preparation or an informed gamble based on what they know already. But obviously, they don't have the info that it isn't going to be a B-site hit.
Nice nades.
Oof. If Gambit was, or if Hobbit was 1 step closer.
Yeah, 2 grenades that end up looking like 1, but synchronized to a T.
Look at this. Haven't moved a muscle the whole time.
Very well stacked up. Sees the barrel. Oh, wow. Almost lining up 2 bodies in that position.
35 seconds.
Refresh still left in apps. That's 2 smokes, 1 from each side.
Countered it.
Pick up a little bit of utility. Draw that last B player into the action. This is it. They're going to try to force their way into the A site. We've got 2 defenders inside the bomb site with an incendiary on the front of it. Heroic playing with barely any time to spare, and that follow-up molly just ends this. I mean, they could run through and take damage, but they're going to have to just try and dogpile this. Shush, 8 HP, can't find the plant spot, and he gets executed. Maybe just a moment of desperation that maybe that happens, but no, sir. Heroic, they get messed up by those incendiaries.
They didn't bait their grenades, so they came through. So the funny part is almost like an irony is like if you don't go for any map control, the other team can be scared because they're expecting you to do something to try to disrupt their tactics, whether it's slow them down on banana or up at mid, and that's where some of the nades can get expelled. But sometimes when you see nobody, you psych yourself out. You burn down a lot more of the clock than you're supposed to. You end up not baiting out the grenades like you're supposed to. If you didn't read it was going to be a full passive setup like that. A late kill happens, and then you're forced into an exec. And the whole time you're thinking, how do they know so much? And clearly Gambit didn't know for sure, but they were still right. That's interesting. Another round where they're light on info here.
Saw him though, and that's going to activate Inters. He peeks. Shiro, good for 1. And here comes Axile, lining up a couple bodies and even finding himself a 3rd. Excellent hold here in the cross mid. The player on Arch side makes first contact, calls for the Porch player to peek. When he goes down after just his 1, that 3rd man on A gets magnetized into this mid hold, and Axile going to town. 3 frags for him at a 2nd round for Gambit.
Another round where Gambit, I mean, they don't do anything special there, just the standard mid setup. But that's what Heroic are not expecting. I don't know if there was some pressure down mid or down B that made it look like there was 3B, and that's why they decided to walk up. But obviously, if you ask Heroic, they wouldn't walk into a setup like that if they had known there was 1 on each side. You can really feel the pressure from both sides every moment. They're working so hard for all of these different little engagements. And the same nade setup.
Yep.
To get the exact same amount of damage. That's Hobbit gone.
Perfect nades. That's what they wanted last time around. The FAMAS falls down. The USP is up. It's enough of a hold, seeing as it was the one-man army.
Got one locked, second oranges.
And they quickly come in off CT spawn. The double peek from the bomb plant goes down to the hands of Shiro. That's a good recovery from Gambit's rotation, but that was better than last time. Hobbit, I mean, I was shocked when he survived those 2 nades the first time around. It looked like it could have been 100 damage. This time, bro, they just knock his teeth out.
Yeah, you could say that these nades scored a plant on their own. Probably could have won them the round.
On the money.
You know, it's nice for Nafny to get 2 and delay long enough, and they didn't have a CT smoke to allow his teammates to come over. But I think the real important part about those grenades is the conditioning. You know, if this is a huge part of the game plan for Hobbit to play CT in a lot of their positions on B, he's no longer going to feel comfortable doing that. And if Heroic know that at some point, now they've conditioned him, they can use that against Gambit. Now, it's really hard to come out of prep. Such a standard spot gets eliminated from your arsenal. But there's no countering those grenades.
See if Heroic decide to set a faster pace on A. They're going to go ahead and challenge Archside. What is this? Missed smoke land in the bookshelf of
How
Library.
unlucky.
That's a huge gap for Shiro to try and exploit here. And you can see them start to stutter step. He's drawn into the op peak. Misses a chance at a second kill.
Literally a jet smoke.
They've got Heroic pinned in Arch. It's going to have to be Hobbit at batten. Luckily for him, he's not going to get naded out of this angle. The man's seen more frag grenades than opponents. I love this from Heroic. They just pull that E-brake. They hold position, and look who gets antsy. Hobbit goes for a bit of a peek. He hits the dink, but loses his life and loses Gambit's man advantage. And they still don't move. Shiro's going to come in on that very same angle. And even if he sees the guy in the back, which he does, it doesn't matter. Stown, hot headshot. What do we have at the B site? It's Nafny inside of the fountain. And as these 3 Ts wrap CT, Nafny begins to lay down lead. 2 kills for him. The op trades from Cadian, and Inters gets him with his back turned. Refresh in for the clutch, but so little time. I mean, this just cannot happen.
Can't touch the bomb plant zone, round over. And now he has to worry about being hunted after time, but he'll fight his way out early. Exile could have held off for a second, but instead, Refresh will get away with his life. This is a pure confidence play every step of the way. You like you said, it's nice from Heroic. I mean, yeah.
You ever seen this?
The beautiful cinematic on the shelf smoke, the bookcase. This is so well done from Nafny. Yeah, re-aggressing and getting that info every single time. The third time was a charm. Inters was huge, right? He didn't really second guess it, make it and see to and check to see if they would come to a CT, come back through Library and hit A afterwards. Each of them trusted their reads, and funnily enough, the first 2 times it made it look like a foolish move. The third time, it made the most sense possible because they had at least burned enough time off the clock to make each next move even more valid. Another almost full passive setup here inside the B site, holding way back.
Really letting Gambit make their, or excuse me, Heroic make their moves.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to psych him out this time.
Here they come. That's a molly down on the pit. Decent damage, but it's a one and done from both of the initial defenders. Inter's not able to spam through smoke fast enough, and look at this deep commitment from Heroic. They get a player into construction. Refresh. He's going to just hold this. Here's them getting all the closer. There's no utility for the T side. Still smokes and frags here for Gambit. They could definitely soften a player up, but so far nothing, because everybody from Heroic here is leaning over towards coffins. That's one deep construction, And 2 more on the same side. Look at the CTs wasting time, checking corners that aren't occupied at all. And then finally Refresh decides to make his move, cutting off that tail caboose. The 2 other CTs move forward, smoking off this exit. No time for the defuse, no chance. But damage still substantial. Everybody dies.
It's Dunkirk inside the site. All the nades come out. Everybody dies in the post plant.
Who does that hurt more?
You know what?
Everybody's wounded. Look at the cash from both sides.
Yeah.
Nobody has money.
No, it's an ugly situation. Problem is, this is a big confidence win for Heroic, in my opinion. A few of these setups, Gambit have caught them off guard. But here, Heroic, they didn't waste time and didn't second guess what they had in front of them, right? They had the top and end control. They smelled the setup being passive. And I think they don't have to worry much about CT anymore.
I love this. Inter's disrespect down to the bottom of mid, flash off Banana, only able to find himself the first one. TessS in the meantime looking to maybe punish off of this, trying to get a bit of real estate of his own. Wow, he will catch the short player, Shiro clothesline. It's all on Axile. He's got a teammate now rotating in Hobbit, but that's a CZ on Arch. He could come grab this op, sure enough. But what if Stown challenges out from Boiler in the meantime?
We still got full vision down Banana. So at least these 2 CTs can organize themselves accordingly.
Come on, Hobbit, pick it up. Now he's got hands on it. Axile just in the nick of time. 2 kills. Hobbit could challenge, but instead he sits in sight, getting all the closer to Moto. Shush, blindsided by it. Sidearm to the face. As Gambit win this race to 5, they've got themselves that 1-round lead now.
Yeah, dude, like the way that Axile's watching Halls early after they do the mid push, they see nothing. They're expecting some kind of squeeze for map control. They get the punish. Now, my question for the rest of this half is, will we ever... So I think 2 spots are eliminated. Anything lingering around in CT, but also boosted in CT spawn. Who's going to play there now, knowing that these nades are a problem? I want to know if Gambit ever play that spot again. And if Heroic enter B even trying to clear that position. Those are the 2 questions that I'm curious about. So some of these B setups don't look great. And that last round, it got punished. And I think when Heroic are back on money, they're going to entertain the idea of, you know, top B's open again. Why don't we try this full exec? Because I think Gambit are the ones that actually have to change their tempo. They might have the round advantage now, but the half's not done with. And they've been really timid on this half of the map.
Just having a powwow at the moment. A little bit of a yit.
Yeah. We used to call this like the CIS pause is pretty much like Navi. You use rounds like this to talk about things, or actually existence in a few teams.
A little bit of hot potato there with the Glock. Single flashbang for whenever they're done discussing.
What we're witnessing, of course, is just this hard anti-eco from Gambit.
You want to waste time? Go ahead. Gambit just solidifying positions.
Ooh.
They managed to jump past the op. That makes things like scary for a moment. You know, you've got 5 Ts just sprinting at you, Glocks up. USP survives the test and enters turns. Oh, there was room for improvement as that op nearly rattled another player from Gambit, but sprint and shoot as you please. Those Glocks not getting the better of anybody other than the one.
That was testy. Yeah. They run him down in the library. Okay. 10 rounds deep, full buy-in. Again, Cadian picking up the op. It's obviously not what most teams do, buying an op. So they've got a specific strategy in mind. Obviously, if they was using that pause before, I was thinking it's not going to be a spawn-based play because they can't know that he'll get one. Well, let's keep an eye on Cadian to see what the tactic is. I think he'll be at the forefront of this idea. But they're establishing again and going light on the grenades and seeing that once again, Top Banana is cleaned out for a free. But will we have a re-aggression tactic for once? Oh, really? Shiro comes in to reinforce the site.
haven't been challenged on these forward angles.
Yeah.
It's either, you know, Gambit back sight or late CT.
Still a minute up.
Hobbit full counter flash above this Opper. Smoke grenade actually makes Shiro a bit uncomfortable.
Kind of interesting. It gives him a way out too, though.
Yeah. Gonna be a tested situation, but he actually fades away. So now it's gonna be more of the same. Oh, that's a great grenade. TSS down to 43. Even Stown taking some chip damage. Smoke grenade front sight will fade, and the op of Shiro prime for the peak. He goes out and takes down Cadian. Still 3 terrorists ahead of that Opper, and they cross over. Shiro cutting another one out of the equation. TSS close smoke, and here comes Hobbit. He's got a single kill already. Now we find Heroic filling the feed with something. Any kind of a response would be good, but they have 5 seconds to spare to get Hobbit out of this position. Refresh is gonna run right into Naphany. Little did he realize a trap had been set on Banana.
Oof. Man. The amount of stuff going on as they just sit around and wait, man. It's just so tense the whole way through. And then Shiro times a peek perfectly, waits in for Cadian. He lets the riflers go by. I mean, he doesn't know exactly what's happening on the other side of his screen, but clearly he has some idea. Doesn't fall for any bait, get punished on a repeak. Instead gets 2 after taking the Opper first. Gives him the ability to repeak, knowing he takes out Cadian. Not sure if Heroic knew the op was coming, or not sure if Heroic knew that the rotation from Shiro was coming, or what the idea was. But in my opinion, they seemed like they were sure that eventually Hobbit would come take over top banana control again, and it never happened. And instead, Gambit quietly entertained the idea that maybe a hit was still going to come in. And it is a honeypot trap to say, okay, nothing going on top banana, come on into B.
Come on over.
I think it's just a pure confusion tactic here that's working out. But listen, you've got to punish. Look how light they're going on grenades.
Again.
It's not the wrong thing to do.
Yep. Hang on to what you have. A consistency
No rotation here.
in Gambit's setup, offering this much to Heroic. More often than not, they succeed. I'd be a bit cautious if I was Hobbit, but here comes the commit. We got smokes and mollies all over Naphany. He is lost in the orange boxes. TSS takes him down, spam around the coffin from Hobbit. And that's the response they need, at the very least. But another smoke on CT side, that cancels out Shiro. And look at this, Cadian, deep on tree. Finds Inters with his hands busy. This could call Hobbit back to check it, but obviously that's being watched by Cadian, who's in a hell of a pressure cooker right now, not sure where to look. So to no one's surprise, he goes down. A 3-round lead and a 3v3, but Shush takes the edge, and he can't double up on that one. Axile burning what's left of him. It's the time that becomes the issue. Heroic looking to lock down this bomb, but another kill off of Gambit, and a lineup from Stown. That's how Heroic take their 5th.
God, a great try. A great try on the retake, but just the right call for Heroic. They finally get that punish through again. It's a bit testy, but I mean, look at Naphany. He's in between smokes, trying to delay, juggling his decisions. Molly burning the top of second oranges, nowhere to run. Can't even really shoot back without risking dying. Comes down to the final few seconds, but yeah, you can tell, like, Cadian turning the corner on half wall. They didn't throw any molly to sandbags. They didn't flash the half wall, or they threw one flash half wall. They just saved their grenades. They knew it. And now, finally, they get that reaction. Gambit 3 on B. Some pressure, smoke to the bottom of it, but this makes mid a bit weaker for the time being.
And Heroic immediately respond, clearly setting their sights on it early. But with deep vision from Naphany, we do have that 3rd man back on A. Justifies Shiro's glass cannon inside of the site. Arch, a weakness. We do have Hobbit, MP9 in hand, allowing them to wrap. That smoke soon fades.
Their guns are horrible. They have low money.
And 2 players from Heroic inside library. Axile's up on Balk.
Wow.
This is just like a previous round where Heroic were able to get their teeth into Arch and then they just fell silent. However, now it's worse. They're deeper in. They've punctured through the flesh. And Inter's good for just the one. Op from Shiro drops backside. Axile finished. He's just gonna burn to a crisp, but takes Shush with him. He's gotten out, so it seemed. But Cadian in for a clutch. And I don't need to remind you what this man's capable of. He just missed timing on that boiler walk from Hobbit.
Now, this is insane, but of course, he's clearing out mid, and he doesn't know where Hobbit is. Oh, the flank's coming through.
Does he catch wind of this? Hobbit's
becomes
crouched.
Impossible, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, oh man, Hobbit almost got up crossing in a boiler, just a matter of timing. Cadian had a hint of it, but of course, eventually someone potentially flanks lane. Hobbit took a risk, and it was paid off. This was a round that was really good from Heroic. They just didn't trade down favorably, but we got 2 MP9s, low grenades on the site.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, they did that. Tons of pressure and then wait. In getting into library control, posting up on all the rotations. Their first rotator had an MP9. They were in such a good position.
Back to Banana. Heroic out the gates, throwing Cadian to the top of this. Nafany right on the other side. Shadow advantage given. But Nafany, well, he's got support. And Cadian, wow, finds that fadeaway headshot. Through smoke as he was being peppered himself. That's one frag the way of Heroic. Decent grenade damage. Nafany, the next victim of a similar situation. But all this has allowed for Axile to get himself behind enemy lines. And I mean, he is deep. He's going to see at least 2. Oh my God. Axile, backstab, MP9's out. Headshot connects into Stown. TessS is low, and he somehow manages to get away. It's not all that he wanted, but it could have been way worse. They sprint quickly into the A site. They find it for free, so it seems. Inter's off of Arch. There's nobody inside site nor pit to hold this back. But Gambit could still be primed for this retake. It's just pistols.
Oh, they're late to the party. I mean, they're starting to group up a little bit.
Just pistols. I say that with an asterisk. Because Heroic's still a massive risk.
Kid on Shiro.
Do not underestimate them. Wallbang's gonna go astray. We've got a player in the back side of the site. Time is of the essence. They need to clear these corners. They need to get their kills, and they do find that first one, but it's the double up in pit that gets them what they need. A round win from Heroic. A huge flank from Inter, sure enough. But that formed an express lane to A, and Heroic rode that highway for a 6th round win.
Yeah, it was a sensible mid-round here. Even though Axile posed this huge threat from CT spawn, he's also displaced in such a major way. His rotation is so slow if he goes all the way through ult, and he can't come back through mid, and they know that. So they say, hey, they're down a man on A. That's the normally, you know, our pit anchor that we have to worry about. Let's run it up lane and try. And they were on an eco as well. So far, the calls have been good from Heroic. Honestly, a little questionable from Gambit, I won't lie. So good to see that Heroic are kind of climbing back into the half. It's been kind of a Pandora's box of mysteries as to what the line of reasoning is for how Gambit have put in these setups, or if there's little tricks that they're employing that are getting in the heads of Heroic. It's hard to see. But Heroic, after some strong calls, now reap the rewards. Full armored opponents, or half armored opponents, yes, but only the op of Shiro to support. A weak rifle, a couple of pistols, and 1 SMG.
Shiro, the big point of contact, sees that long barrel. It's going to be replaced by a refresh soon enough. See if he can just take the head off. Drop shot by the op, falls back in sight. Shush wraps Arch with the smokes, blocking off both of Gambit's rotators. But Nafany on the back line, not being watched at the moment. He's going to have to play this dangerous game of acceleration
Oh, they're so slow.
and hesitance. 15 seconds left. The op shot hits. Shush low, Tessa's dead. Refresh in with 1. It's desperate, it's chaotic. And who's gonna come out on top? Well, so far that's Gambit, but Cadian inside dead to rights as Shiro takes that 3-round lead. It's been a week since these two teams locked horns, and yet it feels like we haven't skipped a beat.
Hey guys, it's Rob4 here, and joining me is GameZilla to play a game of Whose Frag Is That? So, you've seen the series. How many are you going to get correct out of 3?
Out of 3? I don't know, maybe 3 or 2.
Let's aim for the full house. Let's aim for the 3. And of course, if you get stuck, there's bonus points, bonus clues, I should say, which turn into bonus points if you don't use them at the end. So, technically, there's 6 points up for grabs. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
You got to know this one.
This zone is pretty easy.
Go on.
It's Dupri.
It is Dupree. Well, great start. 1 out of 1. So let's play number 2.
I know this one as well. I think it's Rain 1v3.
Rain 1v3. I'm not sure if it was 1v3, but it was definitely a 3K. Pushes through the smoke. He's got some nice aim, right?
Yeah, crisp.
Okay, well, this is looking too easy. So let's just move on to the 3rd frag, and let's see if you get the 3 frags that you said you were going to get at the beginning. Okay, so this one you don't know straight away, so it must be a little bit harder.
Can I know the nationality?
The nationality is Brazilian. There's quite a few players in Brazil. That hasn't helped much, has it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna use the other one as well, the first letter of the name.
It begins with V.
V? VSN?
I've got to take that as your final answer, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
It's actually Vinny.
Vinny? I forgot.
However, you got the first 2 frags, and to be honest, you got them straight away. So if I could give you bonus points for speed, you would be up there. You would be winning on the speedy answers. So yeah, well played. 3 points in total. So GameZilla, thank you very much for playing. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing more content with you in the future, hopefully.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Half of Heroic's round count coming out of that 3-0 start on their T side. This is their map pick, and it felt to me like Gambit, they gave space to Heroic. They definitely allowed for them to play their own game, the classic tail of the tape. Now Heroic swap to the defense as we see what Gambit have in store.
Yeah, there's something beneath the floorboards there. It was hard to exactly see, but Gambit's confidence in the way that they posted worked out for them the majority of the times, and we saw cracks at the end where Heroic found ways in. Acadian does here on the pistol, but it still leaves us at a 9-6 half in favor of them.
Strong CT sides last time these teams met. Nice flash. Oh, but
Hess's peaks.
yeah, goes out for it and enters, doubling up towards this B site. All 3 kills the way of Gambit, and double digits on the line.
Oh, they should have gone for the gimmick, I feel like, and they put all that effort into the bait setup, and then Tessa's just swung. They had the flash tactic come out a bit early. And Shiro here, he gets deep. Oh my god, what on earth?
That's because you used the butterfly knife. Can't resist it, can you?
You've got to pull it out a few times every game just to keep the lease going.
Nafany looking to seal the deal here, but Shush not going down without a fight. Regardless of his best efforts, it is Gambit with double digits, 10-6 for the CIS team.
You know, I wonder what they feel like with the half that they had. Like overall, it looks good. But again, this game was 11-4 the first time around.
Yep.
With an 11-4 comeback for Heroic.
In the second half on the CT side.
Yeah.
Very similar scenes.
11-4, of course, a very infamous Danish scoreline, popularized by Zonic for being cursed. So maybe they're in the clear with 10-5. We'll have to see.
It's that Danish witchcraft, man. Shush up close, Deagle in hand. Nicely done by Refresh and Tesses elsewhere with a Deagle kill of his own. But we've got corpses stacked up in the apartments. Low HP for Inters. He's got tons of grenades. In fact, the vast majority of utility is on Inters. Hobbit's going to try to exit, taking damage as he goes down. And Tesses holding the line. A minute left to play, but the D gets away. A little too much bang for his buck. Bomb planted backside. What a tantalizing situation for Stown now. A frag grenade that could be dunked on the head of Hobbit.
Oh, he's got one. Wow, okay, okay.
You nail that trajectory, send it like a shot put. Hell, you could even throw it back sight. But he goes mid-box. His call is wrong. Now he needs to hit with bullets. He's so wary of this pit peek, and sure enough, it could come his way. And right after Shiro makes contact, we get that two-man swing. Gambit, with losses, survive for their 11th, a 5-round lead over Heroic.
Yeah, it's actually nuts, too, because those first 3 rounds, 2 of the first rounds were Cadian clutches. A ton of damage done to them on their way in. So we've got to keep the energy up, of course. 5-round differential, but all you have to say is we've been here before. Looking for damage. Majority deaths. Keep the money low. Heroic don't even stack here. Tessus now leaves. Crazy. Team like Heroic, they're on this permanent honeymoon. Everyone wants to know when it's going to end. Or take a rest. 3 CTs pushing out. Flash tactics in, but that's 1 kill. Yeah.
He'll find the head eventually. Refresh, having recently won his first big event ever.
He won a, how dare you HLTV, he won a DreamHack Open once upon a time, and you guys won't put the, you can't create a graphic for that. You know what he said? It was versus, I think, formerly Avangard were at the event, and they beat them. But at the time, they weren't that good. He feels like that's why he doesn't get the DreamHack Open trophy.
Right.
It's a 100K event, HLTV.
Well, reality was he wasn't that good either. Not as good as he is now. Not as good as he's looked since getting added to this roster. He's going to walk back towards this B site as the bomb pops.
Yeah.
A little bit of damage.
He also said to us that he said, you'd think I'd be pretty content or happy to have won such an amazing, trophy in a big tournament, big long tournament.
Yeah.
With my new team and my best team so far. And he said, yeah, but after a day or two, it was immediately back to the grind, thinking about what to do next and how to keep it going. He's already thinking about how to stay on top, even though they're kind of touching, just getting comfortable there for the first time.
I mean, he definitely had time on a decline for those seeds of doubt to sow themselves. But fired up by the great comeback tale of Cadian, there are similarities to draw between these two players. He said that Cadian's the best captain he has ever had.
Yeah, he said taught him ways to look at CS that he'd never thought about before. Super high praise for Cadian as an in-game leader.
Utility over the top of middle here from Gambit, definitely vying for some map control, and TSS tucks in. Oh, Nafany reads him a bedtime story. Great grenade damage going both directions. Oh man, talk about refresh. He just gives cover and shush 2 kills off Balk. A rock solid A-hold until Axile comes out.
Do they? Okay, it's 2v3, but
Flash?
he knows the flash, he gets him to turn. It's the right tactic. It flashes the bottom guy, gets the top guy to turn, and they still know someone else is here. Bomb can get picked up, 40 seconds up, and there's a problem. If they don't have a smoke for the front of the site, they're going to have to hard clear Mini. Oh my god, Bomb walking it back to Arch to find the opening kill. B is still an option.
Now Refresh looks like he's going to come peek mid. Look, they sandwich this.
Oh my god, they both are reading this correctly, but are they a little bit too slow? They'll start to run. They're close enough to hear the footsteps. Opponent turns the corner. Axel drops the bomb. They'll grab it.
Comes back.
Spike can come in. 2K spray down. Will he take the duel?
5 seconds.
10 seconds, and he needs to find the plant. He'll have enough to score it and to get into a pretty good position as well.
But barely, just barely. Bomb plant and hot on his heels. He goes! He pre-fires as he slides out. An electric clutch on the B site.
No way.
Dude, those were layers. They leave from top mid. Heroic follow suit 2v4.
Man, this flash.
Axile gets him to turn his head and dips back. Refresh catching the player from behind. Axile had the bomb dropped for him. Nafany, dude, he knew that he was hot on his heels and he punishes for it. Gambit, strong lead.
This game has been clinical back and forth, but now there's a really scrappy mid-round to make things just that much more exciting. And to answer back to that, the tempo to come down mid, going 1-for-1 on the trades. And that is actually the only rifle on the round here for Heroic, defending against 14. Are they just going to get mopped up on Inferno? Same veto as last time. But it was 16-3 on Vertigo last time. Heroic barely edged out Inferno to even get a chance on Train. It's an incredible story because of how unlikely it was, given Gambit's level of confidence and, you know, their pedigree and the stripes that they earned up until the point that they played against Heroic this year.
They're up close and personal. It's down, not going to get it with the Deagle. Flash for TSS, he peeks, misses his chance as well. Looks like they're going to get sent back towards Cadian. He's got a Deagle and a Dream. But this a situation of a nightmare. Oh, Inters jumps. He's not been spotted. Oh, Shiro hard clears it. Okay. You know, Cadian for a second had butterflies in his stomach.
Chance to pull that back. Wow, this is absolutely ruthless. We're going to have basically one more chance to even get back into this game. I mean, to even talk about a comeback, we're going to have one last opportunity. See if Heroic can even mentally, you know, withstand a loss this great. I think the Dignity rounds are pretty important here. Now, we'll say that they get on the first rifle, and they have a favorable situation. Now, on that Axile mid-round, they barely win to bring it back. So there's hope. They just can't afford to make those kinds of mistakes right now. Not enough rounds to work with. Attack timeout called. Gambit now are on 5 in a row. Obviously a big revenge match. Proves a lot for Heroic to kind of cement their place against Gambit, where no other team would be able to say that we have a winning record versus Gambit, that we, you know, beat them in a best of 5 in a final, for example. Down the line, when we talk about these storylines, if Gambit's story, Heroic's story still continue, it's going to be these matches that define the angles, basically.
And right now, the angle is nobody works harder.
Right to the right white wine, huh?
Popping that champagne early. According to them, nobody puts in more hours, nobody works harder. A chance afforded to you in the online era with how much time you can just sit down and commit to your game. We see Gambit constantly side by side. Peek from Cadian with a player very close. Shots exchanged and Inters comes out on top. That's a CT down for the count. 2 of them left here on this A site with a 3rd in tow. An Arch rotate. Now close. Banana in question. Nice shot from Shush. He puts a smoke down in front. That extinguishes 2 mollies.
Wow.
So he hangs on to his position, but Hobbit has opened up that B bomb site. Down gets aggressive with the Op Mohan, and it creates a power vacuum towards this B site. Draws Heroic over, but options left by Gambit. Check this out. Player still floats outside of Boiler. Hobbit not sure if site's actually clear. TessS wastes no time, jumps through that.
Interesting. I think you might have heard.
Bomb now planted, Hobbit hits the op shot.
Yeah, this team was close enough. I respect the play from TessS. They need to get some kind of map control back. It's super audacious of Hobbit to even deep smoke like that, just to really show Heroic how much map control they're comfortable taking. But it makes perfect sense. And it's another round stolen back, another really important mid-round decision. And that's the value of doing like 4-1s. You don't need 5 guys to take a site. If things go haywire, they throw a second smoke to Big Pit, and that guy in Big Pit has a smoke, or a second volley, and it has a smoke to extinguish both. You now have a contingency plan if with Hobbit opening up on the other side of the map. It's obviously going to suck for Heroic, knowing the A hit is coming on. They rotate through CT spawn, they push down B, but then this punish comes out, and yeah, things change completely.
Just sticks his head out for it.
They use his own op against him.
Hobbit, one of the most consistent pieces for Gambit.
Maniac calls him, them, Axile, Shiro, and Hobbit the strongest core, strongest fragging core.
In Counter-Strike right now.
Right now, yeah.
A bold claim, but one that seems more justified day after day. Especially tonight here with a 9-round lead. And just as many chances to close out on Inferno. We tout Gambit as absolute Vertigo specialists. Ooh, Cadian. Gonna catch Hobbit on his cross.
They fought every inch for that opening. Carl Molly came through, peeked right at the end of it.
Fast rotate and commitment on top. Nobody left at this B site. Heroic, great read for the moment. Although we've seen Gambit not shy away from rotates. Ooh, wow, dangerous game. They put that incendiary right out, but a nasty angle off of Axile in apps. Here comes more fire. Shush yet again gonna extinguish this. He's not alone inside of Pit, but TessS dead, throwing more grenades and caught inside of a smoke. They've got presence on that bomb site. Bomb carrier included. He just prioritizes plant, puts it down. They've got these CTs now locked in these positions.
They just have to contain them. There's a CT holding back, and they've got lane control with a player in halls. They can't even get out of Pit.
Their stomping grounds turned into their cages. Stown completely cut off from his teammates, and that peek from Nap, and he steals this. I'm talking a 10-round lead on Inferno. A blowout. They go ahead and draw first blood over Heroic. They do it within their own castle walls. This is Heroic's turf, Heroic's territory. But tonight, well, it's Gambit's revenge story.
The wins are just ruthless. Even that Forum versus Furia, somehow Furia able to pick up a win on Overpass versus them in OT, and then just get completely